What's up folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the city of Glasgow. We're actually here because we were at a Foo Fighters concert last night, which was pretty epic to say the least. But anyway, on to photography stuff. As you may have heard me mention on the channel before, I think I said that I would like to try out a 50mm prime lens. I have tried out the 23, the 35, and the 50 was kind of the next one that I wanted to try out. And thankfully Viltrox sent us over the 56mm f1.7, which is close enough for me. So let's take a little wander around Glasgow and take some photos and see what this thing can do. Or see what I can do with it, might be a better way to put it. And we'll talk about some things about it while we're doing it. First of all, let's start with the price of this lens. The Viltrox 56mm f1.7 is £175 new, which is really cheap for a brand new lens, especially a lens with an aperture that low. The other lenses, so like the Fuji 50mm f2, I think it is, starts at about £300, and that's used. I just checked MPB to see what sort of deals you could get. It's still pretty good for that lens, but in comparison to this, it's almost double the price, and that's for a used version. And the same with the Fuji 56mm f2 as well. When you go to f1.2 for both those lenses, it gets a lot more expensive. So this lens is a lot cheaper than both of the Fuji options. The build quality with this lens is not going to be as good as the Fuji lenses, as you would expect. This thing is fully plastic, although for a fully plastic lens it does look pretty good, and it also feels pretty decent. The lens hood doesn't feel the greatest going on because it's plastic on plastic, but I mean, for that cheap of a lens you can't expect to have a fully metal lens, I don't think, but it feels pretty good and looks pretty good for being fully plastic. One thing to keep in mind if you do want to go for this lens is that there is no aperture ring. There's only one ring here, and that's for focusing, I'm adjusting the aperture using the front dial on the X-T3, it just automatically switched to that, which I actually find quite handy. I did have it set to ISO, but now the ISO just works with the dial on the top. So yeah, just something to keep in mind if you like having an aperture ring. This does not have one.
By the way, I know I said the lens is fully plastic, but the part that actually connects to the camera is metal, which is the most important part really. So you shouldn't really have any problems with that in the long term. Also, this lens does have autofocus, which is a huge benefit. The TT Artisan's 23mm lens that I tried out on the channel, some of you may have seen that video and seen that it doesn't have autofocus. And to be honest, I found it pretty annoying. It was quite slow, just not for me. I don't think I would be in the market for a manual lens for a digital camera again. But the fact that this has autofocus is a huge benefit. Especially because it's kind of more of a portrait lens too, or falls into that field where it's kind of perfect for portraits. But yeah, having autofocus at this price is pretty nice. Just another quick little note about the lens. Viltrox does say that the front part of the lens is water resistant, which I assume just means essentially around the glass at the front, but the rest is not. So essentially the lens isn't really water resistant, so you're not going to be taking it out in extreme conditions. I didn't really plan to, but yeah, I mean, for this price, you don't really expect to get a fully weather resistant lens. When it comes to image quality with the Viltrox 56mm, I would say it's pretty damn good. Now, when it comes to sharpness, the main prime lens I use is it's on the camera, the 35mm f2, the Fujifilm lens, and I'm sure you've seen in reviews how good of a lens it actually is, and it's also extremely sharp. f2 portrait's just really sharp, so I mean, comparing it to it, I didn't expect this lens to do as well, but it does look pretty nice. It's still pretty sharp. I took a few portraits of Christina at f1.7. They look pretty sharp, especially when it nails focus on the eye. I'm pretty happy with them. I mean, it could be a little sharper. I'm sure the Fujifilm 50mm, 56mm lens are probably a little bit sharper. You would expect them to be because they're a lot more expensive, but I'm pretty happy with this lens, especially when you stop down to like f5.6 on a few of the more landscapey style shots that I took in this video. Yeah, I mean, it's easily good enough for me, and I would imagine it would be for most people. There is no soft corners or anything, which is another thing you may have seen me talk about with the TT Artisan 23mm, especially at low apertures. There was a lot of softness around the corners and stuff. With this lens, it seems to be really sharp, side to side, corner to corner. You can see in a few of these photos where I'm shooting at f5.6, I wanted everything you can see to pretty much be in focus, and it is, and there doesn't really look to be any difference from the center focus to the side. So pretty happy with that. One thing there is quite a bit of though is vignetting, especially at the lower apertures like f1.7, f2. It does get a bit better when you get up to like f4 and f5.6. It's pretty much completely away, but as you can see from a few of these shots on screen, quite a bit of vignetting that would require a decent amount of adjustments in Lightroom to counteract. But it's kind of okay for portraits, and in certain scenarios you won't notice it as much. But if there's sky in the scene, then you can clearly see the darkness around the corners. So something to keep in mind. Probably stop down if you can most of the time, because it is quite strong at those lower apertures. But I mean, at the same time, for the price of this lens, it's ticking a lot of boxes, and I think I can deal with some vignetting at the lower apertures. I don't really think there's much else for me to say. As I say in all these videos where I'm trying out a different lens, I don't go into the real specifics. I'm not reading through every stat and all that stuff because it kind of bores me, and a lot of the time it doesn't really make a difference. It's more the final image that I'm worried about, and I think this lens is pretty good. I mean, it's going to be probably impossible to beat it for this price, I would say. I'm pretty happy with it. I would love to try out the Fuji versions, the 50 and the 56, just to see how much difference there actually is. Obviously the build quality and stuff would be better, which is always nice. But I mean, if you're in the market for like a nice portrait lens, or just something a little bit longer, like I have the 35mm and I really like it. So now I kind of have a nice mix. I have the 18 to 55. I have the TT Artisan 23 if I want to use it, but I'm not sure with that manual focus. But yeah, I have the 35 and now I have the 56, which is, it's a nice little difference there, and it's nice to throw on for some portraits and that, which I probably will do. So, but yeah, definitely a lens I think I would have to recommend for the price, because the only real drawback is that it's fully plastic and the bit of vignetting is a bit strong. Everything else, pretty damn good. So I'll not bore you to death by blabbering on anymore, but hopefully you enjoyed some of those photos. I had a fun time trying this thing out and seeing what it can do, or seeing what I can do with it, like I said. But yeah, let me know which photo was your favorite, and also let me know if you tried out this lens. What do you think of it? Are you happy with it for the price? And is it something you'll be using going forward? But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. So hopefully it was helpful in some way or other. If it was, give the video a thumbs up. Maybe consider subscribing if you want to see more. And yeah, as we always say, take it easy. Don't be a stranger.